Dosha Maragut, Marishima Ishuya Hets. And so in my Hiradza language, I said, hello, relatives. My name is Eagle Woman. I am a citizen of the Mandan, Hiradza, Arikara nations here in so-called United States. I live in a state called North Dakota, and uh, born and raised my whole life, and it's also the traditional homelands of our people who were traditionally, we were farming peoples. We had corn and squash and beans, and we lived along the Missouri River. We relied on fish and buffalo in the plains in the United States here before it was ever called the United States. And when um, colonization happened here, we were forced onto certain lands, and things became very difficult for us. A lot of our people died, and a lot of our people had to be forced into economic development, um, and it made us lose a lot of our culture. We are dealing with coal extraction and oil extraction and mining. There's a little bit of uranium mining, and it has it's contaminated our waterways, it's contaminated our air, and our people are sick. We have a lot of people with cancers and various sicknesses, very, very high levels of cancers at home. I am also a cancer survivor, and I believe wholeheartedly that it's tied to the industry. We often say that this mining is like the rape of the earth, and that rape of the earth is violent. Not only is it violent against the earth, it's violent against women, and it's violent to our bodies, which is also a sickness. And so I've been fighting oftentimes my own tribal council who has been assimilated and acculturated into this US society that believes that this is the only way it is. You have to have these things because otherwise you couldn't survive. But it's not true. We survived for thousands of years before oil and gas and coal, and we weren't sick. It's only been about 200 years here that all of these things have been here, and now we're in a climate crisis. And that's a blink of time, Earth time. 200 years is like nothing, but we've destroyed so much in that time. And so my fight has been to stop this crazy insanity of drilling and mining and rape of the earth. It's called hydraulic fracturing that's happening right now in my homelands, or fracking for short, which is to go after oil in a lot of places, or sorry, natural gas. But where I live, it's for the oil, and the natural gas is just flared, put into the atmosphere, burned into the atmosphere as a byproduct. So it's awful, and it doesn't make any sense. It's very, 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 very toxic. And so, how do we protect our lands? And that's what we're doing now. We are pushing back to stop the industry, but also working on indigenous just transition. What does that mean? It means we can live without a fossil fuel economy through our natural resources that we have in the air, the land, and the water. Going back to our traditional ways and our cultures of gardening and farming and caring for ourselves as villages and communities, instead of relying on a grocery store or tap water, even, because one day there is a possibility here too that that won't be something that we'll have access to. So who's going to know how to live anymore? Because here in the United States, it's so much privilege, it's so much um, not even understanding how to care for ourselves anymore. We're controlled by the government system because we've become reliant upon it. So reteaching ourselves our languages, our culture, our traditions, and our care of the earth and our care of ourselves. And we're doing it through gardens and through basketry making and through pottery making and through language classes, and we're teaching the next generations that are coming up how to remember how to do all of that, because our grandparents were taken to boarding schools and forced to forget that. And so we've had to relearn from our stolen generation how to be ourselves again. And many of us are mixed now. So we feel a little bit lost in the world, but we still survived because our grandmother survived. We're still here. We're natives here in the Americas. They tried to terminate us, but they didn't. And that is how we're going to heal ourselves, is through our ability to fight back, to refuse to just die, and to take care of ourselves, the generations before us, remembering from our ancestors that strength, that fight, and then remembering our history so that we can know where we want to go in the future and the protection of the next 7 generations. So Matagirats, thank you very much.